Hello, everyone. I hope I am clearly visible and audible to everyone. Those who are watching, can you guys confirm to me that you can whether you can listen to me and am I clearly visible also or not? Yes, perfect, perfect. So here the weather is bit bad in Bangalore. So there might be a chance that again and again light is going down. But in terms of connectivity, I'm making sure that it will be there. Okay. So yeah. I have a question. I completed my BCom graduation in 2019, and since then I have been providing tuition services to the students. And now I am learning data science. So how will I able to get a job? So this is the question asked by Monu. So basically, in order to crack any of the job with respect to any of the domain, the most important thing is that you should have a very good projects with respect to that domain, right? So apart from knowing the basic stuffs of DSA, which is the very first round, if your target is some big product-based companies, definitely they will ask DSA to you. Apart from this, with respect to data science, if you're asking, so you should have a good knowledge of stats, machine learning algorithms to start with. And later on, you can try to target deep learning and NLP as well, computer vision, right? And as I told you, that the major prerequisite is to have a good projects in your resume. By saying good projects, you should have a end-to-end, I would say, complete pipeline of a project. It should not be like you are just doing the basic stuff and you are showing into the resume that okay, that's what I did. So it should be complete full-fledged project that you can talk about. um thank you for the session. Thank you, Anurudra. Sorry for the wrong naming pronunciation. Very hot in AP. Is it so? Yeah, south side it's not that much hot, specifically in Bangalore, right? So let's talk a little bit, Hannah. If you have any questions, you can type in the chat window. I'll take few questions in the first 5 minutes. Meanwhile, everyone will join, and then we will start the today's session. Again, a very interesting session, but this session requires, as I mentioned in the LinkedIn post as well, knowledge of stats concepts, which I already have covered up in my stats playlist. I referred that as well in my LinkedIn post. If you have seen that, so I will not repeat those concepts again and again, which I already covered up in my channel. I'll try to come up each and every time with respect to every video, a new thing which I haven't covered up in the previous videos. So that if suppose someone is also coming up by watching the previous videos, uh, then he or she will be able to make a sense and get motivated that okay, after learning this much of the video, I have spent this much of the time, and that is something which I able to get, that will make you motivated, right? So that makes me also feel good, that makes you guys also feel good, because for everyone, time is very important. If you are spending some time over watching my videos on my YouTube channel, I always want that I will be able to deliver that quality content, that after spending 10 minutes, 20 minutes, or 1 hour, you will feel like that you have learned something out of it. If you are not feeling like that, it means that it's a failure of me, not you, right? So we will not repeat the same concepts, but we'll try to learn a bit of things on top of the stats concepts. Okay. What kind of projects should we do for resume? You have to see that what kind of currently projects are going on in the industries. Nowadays, maximum work is going on deep learning side, computer vision side, right? Maximum work is going on NLP side. So many research, you will be able to get an idea by research papers. Just go and try to read it out. You will be able to get an idea where the research is going on. In every domain you will observe that there is a very uh, crucial research which is going on, and every day something new is coming in the AI era nowadays. I can't even imagine that after passing 10 years, if I'll just go to 2033, you will observe that many things have changed. The people who don't already knew about AI also, they will also have to understand, maybe not in internal depth or the implementation per se, but at least I believe so many jobs which nowadays are done by human beings, they will get replaced by the AI tool. So you should have a awareness, right, where the things are going on. So in your resume you have to write a project in such a way that you can show to the interviewer that via this project what's the implication you will be able to develop. For example, via this project I will be able to help in the hospital. If you are doing a project in the healthcare domain, for example, if I'll talk about myself, I did the project in the AI in healthcare domain. So I have mentioned in my resume that this project helps the doctors to diagnose that whether a patient is having a high severity score with respect to COVID or not. So you just have to talk about that, at each and every time whenever you're whenever you're developing something, whenever you're doing something, how it helps to the society, to the community, to the industry, anywhere, whatever project you are doing. So you have to talk broadly, don't concise yourself with respect to the things that you are doing. And when you do so, when you write these kind of lines, that what is the implication of that project, automatically your resume's shortlisting will also get a higher chance, right? So, and when you are doing project, at least in your college, try to make it to the publications. That would be really helpful. Even when in future, if you want to pursue masters or you want to pursue directly PhD, uh, believe me that these research papers publications plays a very important role. More priority will be given while shortlisting the candidates to those students who are already having a very good publications in a very good top notch conferences. So if you will do this stuff in your bachelor's itself, that's a superb amazing thing that you can do. So always, if you're in a college, try to create a project, whether it's in a minor or it's in a major, taking the guidance of your professors, right? I hope everyone in their bachelors have their own guide. You can ask from him, clear the vision that I really want to publish a research paper, and it's a mutual benefit. Always, professors also help, because professors always have a benefit for that, because their name is also visible, and the more publications they will be able to make in a year, they will be also rewarded for that. So it's a mutual benefit. So try to just make your vision big, you will be able to achieve that. Okay. So your paper is very nice, thank you so much, Saurav. Idea of computer vision, maybe let's conduct this as a separate live session where I'll talk about the work which I did in my IIT research work, because that work was in the computer vision itself. So I'll talk and display those particular things, and we'll try to take 1 or 2 hour separate session for that, because we can't complete this word within minutes, right? How to keep motivated for a long time? No one is motivated for a long time, everyone is having a breakdown. You just have to see that whenever a break is required, just take that. And after that, after refreshing yourself, again try to start. That's the rule of life. Never ever think that how to be motivated for a long time. Try to be motivated for a short time, and once you feel like that now it's very much hustle which is going on, take a small break and talk to your loved ones, and after that again refresh yourself, read some good novels. The more better you will see, you will listen, you will always feel then good positive vibes are going on, and then again you will start feeling like starting afresh. So that's how things are going on. If you will force yourself, you are not feeling motivated to do work, but you are forcing yourself, then you will not able to get the results which you really want, right? Okay, so I think it's been 10 minutes. I'll start the session now. If I can see there are more questions as well. So, what I will do is maybe at the end of the session, I'll again take the questions and then we will wrap up the session. Okay, so let me try to present my screen first. And you guys let me know that, whether my screen is visible to everyone or not. Yes, is my screen is visible to everyone? As of now, there is a black screen. I hope everyone is ready with me with respect to today's session. Okay, perfect. Okay, so let's start the today's session, right? Now, the very first thing which, see, whenever we are learning something new, whenever we are doing something, whenever you are learning on your own something new, first of all, just have a question with yourself, that why. This why factor is very much important whenever we are learning something new. That's the motivation to learn, right? If you don't have a solid why, then you will not get motivated to learn anything, right? So now the question is that why there is a need of first of all doing a data visualization. Can I get a answers for that? So my question is that today's session is about the data visualization part. But before that, I just want to discuss in the first 5 minutes that what are your viewpoints with respect to that why there is a need to do the data visualization part. Any answers I can get from anyone? Just give me a second. Let me stop sharing. What happened? Why it is coming as two? Okay. Anyhow, so what is the reason behind the? Okay, so I got few answers. So someone is saying that to recognize the patterns and presenting the observations. Then Anirudra is saying that just to get about data, how data is distributed or something like this, we will get some kind of information from the data by visualization. That's true. Basically, whenever we are talking about data visualization, the question is why it is required. Can I say that to get a meaningful insights of a data, to get a meaningful insights of the data, right? Now, okay, that is true that we will be able to get meaningful insights. But now the question is that whom we want to share these meaningful insights, whom we want to share these meaningful insights. Maybe to the clients who are not in the data domain, who don't know the coding aspect, who just want to see your visualization skills, and you will try to What you will try to do is you will try to present the findings to them in the form of a PPT. You will try to present the findings to them in the form of a PPT, right? I hope it is making sense to everyone. Now, the question is that, okay, this is what is fine. Now, whenever we, as a data analyst or as a data scientist, want to do this thing, which particular library in Python is pretty much important to do? So, in Python specifically, you should have a very good knowledge about Seaborn. I should say, firstly, Matplotlib, and inside that, we will be having Seaborn. These two are the important, I would say, libraries or the packages which are essential for the complete, I would say, representation part with respect to any kind of a data set. And as I always say, that whenever you are learning any new package or anything like that, the only resource that you can refer is the documentation. The only resource that you can refer is the documentation, right? Maybe you can refer few websites as well, but you should give the priority over the first thing as the documentation, because these are the packages from sklearn. You just have to tap on sklearn, Matplotlib, sklearn, Seaborn, and so on, and you will be able to easily able to get that. You can see what are the various functions that we have inside these packages, and you can utilize those properties very easily. I hope it is clear to everyone. So now what I will do here is I'll go back to the Google Colab, and what I really want to do here is I'll take the data set, and we will try to do the plotting part, and we'll try to see that what those plots are indicating, right? We will try to get the inferences as well, because whenever you are doing any visualization, it is very much important for you to also understand that what is the inference of that plot. See, what is the benefit of doing a visualization if you don't even know what that plot is indicating? So today what we will do is we will try to take the data, then we will try to plot something. We will try to take the data, we will try to plot something, and after every plot we will try to discuss that what is the inference of that plot, and I will ask from you, and you have to tell me that what do you think is the inference of those plots. And these are not required a very huge level of mathematical knowledge. Very basic plot which we have already studied in our very lower classes of 10th, 8th, 12th classes. That's it. But how we can plot them via the Matplotlib or Seaborn is something that we are learning very new, right? But what is the inference of that? That is something I don't think that I need to teach to you. So shall we start now, step by step? Shall we start, everyone? So the very first thing, as I told you, that we need to import all the required libraries which are useful for the data visualization part. And I have talked about today two major libraries, and that is nothing but is import matplotlib dot pyplot as PLT. Now there might be few students, few people here, few audience here who is listening these words for the very first time, maybe Seaborn and Matplotlib. What you're supposed to do after the session, what is your task, is just first of all be attentive in this session. After that, just try to go to the documentation of these particular libraries if you are very new to this, and try to see that how basically these particular packages are implemented, what kind of different functions that we have, because few functions we will cover up in the live session, but you all know that for every particular package we will be having a lot many functions. So just go and try to explore more functions on top of that after the today's session, right? After that, I will import a Seaborn as SNS. And in order to read any data, I need a pandas, right? package. So I will say as PD. Now, why I'm using here again and again as, this as is an alias name. For example, you must have your alias name at your home. Maybe your professional name is something different, but your mom dad calls you with some different name, right? So that is your alias name. Similarly, here the actual name is Pandas, but I will call it as PD. The actual name of the package is Seabone, but I'll call it as SNS, right? Let's run this. Let's run this. Done. Now what I can do is I'll try to take few data points here. For example, if I'll say X is a list which contains data points like 1, 3, 7, something like that. And I'm saying Y is something which contains a data points like maybe 1, uh, 5, and maybe 8. Okay. Now, I really want to plot this data points. What I will do, I'll say plt dot plot. What I really want to plot, I'll plot X followed by Y. I'll plot X followed by Y. And then I'll say plt dot show. Now this show function, what it will do is it will show me the graph just now. So if I just run this, what you can see? You can see a graph where you will be having on x-axis, down the line, x-axis, you will be having 1, then 3 is a point, and then 7 is a point. On y-axis, 1 is a point, then 5 is a point, and then 8 is the maximum peak point. Does everyone see that? Does everyone see that, this thing? So this is how basically, very simply, we will be able to plot any given data point that we have. Now, suppose I really want to make an inference here that, this x-axis is x plot, x data, this y-axis is the y plot. Means I want to do a labeling here. So what I can do here is, I'll say plt dot label. So I want to make x label as x, and I want to plot y label as y, because I have plotted on the y-axis the value of the data of y. So now what will happen? Let's see. But you will be able to observe a difference here, that on x-axis, now x is visible to everyone, right? Let me just open the Epic pen as well so that I can also write something if I can. So what I'm saying here, now if you will observe here, I can't. Is it so? Okay. Now I believe I can. So what I'm saying here, this is x, which you can visibly see here. Okay, I need to, I think, save this graph and then I can write something. Uh, let it be. Let me do one thing. Okay. So I hope it is visible to everyone what I am saying here. This is x and this is y, which is be plotted here. Now I want to make a title here. Maybe I'll just, after that, save the graph and download that. Then I will write it down, what I'm saying here. So what I'm saying now is, maybe I just want to do a plotting here. How can I do? How can I make a title here? So again, there comes something called as function by the name of title, plt dot title. Now what you can do is, you can give a title as well, that this is a graph corresponding to the visualization of the data. Visualization of the data. Now if I just again run this, what you're getting? You are getting a proper heading of your graph that you have plotted, which makes more sense. So if you will observe at each and every iteration, what I am doing is, I'm trying to make my graph more readable. I'm trying to make my graph more understandable, right? I hope this point is clear to everyone. Any doubt anyone is having until so far? I have just plotted a very simple graph and did some iterations to make it more understandable. Nothing big I have done so far. Yes. So what insights we will be able to get from this graph is, As of now, we have seen that there is a positive relationship between x and y. As the value of x is increasing, what we are observing is the value of y is also increasing. So you can say that that line is very much correct, which is said by Anirudra, that it's a positive relationship. When we say negative relationship in a graph, when one particular point is increasing but the other point is decreasing, that's what we call as negative relationship in a graph, right? Okay, that insight is very pretty much great, but let's move ahead and let's start working more on this particular graph that we have. Suppose what I will do now is I'll try to take one more data point here, which I'll call it as maybe z, which I'll call it maybe as z, and the values are maybe 7, 2 and 1. Now see what will happen. Now here what I am doing is I want to plot a graph. The graph will be two. One is between x and y, and one is between, I want x and z. X and z. Sorry. Now, let's try to, I will just make it comment as of now. If I just show you the graph now, what will happen? Can you see that there are two lines in one single graph? One line is indicating the plot of x comma y, which is uh, according to the statement by Anirudra, is having a positive relationship. But now you can see there is another plot that we have, which is x comma z. What kind of relationship will you say with respect to x comma z? Is it positive or negative with respect to this visualization of a graph? Is it positive or negative? I'm waiting for your responses. What do you think? Is it positive or is it negative? Opposite direction, which means negative. Yes, that's true. Because here, if you will see, when the value of x was 1, my value of y was 7. It was very high peaked. Now, as I am increasing the value of x from 3 and then 7, which I have entered in this 137, what I have observed is values are going down with respect to z. So, what you are observing is that the very first value that you have is 2, and then what is happening? It is going down to 1 at the very end. So, in a way, now your y axis is not single y, it is, you can write it as y and z. And you can make it label like this. This is the x label, and this is the y axis, which indicates both y values data as well as z value data, depending upon what kind of plot we have. Now, it's okay. As of now, we understood that, blue line indicates that there is a plot between x and y, and z line indicates, sorry, the orange line indicates that the plot is between x and z. I think everyone understood this. Is there anyone who's having confusion in understanding that this blue line is an indication of the plot between x and y, and this orangish line is a graph between the value of x and z? Is it completely clear to everyone with respect to seeing the data itself? I hope this is clear to everyone, right? There is no one who is having any small little bit of doubt also in saying that no, I am saying it wrong. Now, but when we are trying to show this kind of insight that x and y is having a positive relationship, or x and z are having a negative relationship in a graph, which line plots what, we have to mention that in a graph itself. We have to mention that in a graph itself. You can't say while presenting to the clients that this line indicates this, that line indicates that. That's a very bad impression. And Consider that here I am just having two particular lines, but I can have three, four, five, six, seven. So at the time of presenting, you will spend, I think, 10 or 15 minutes to just showing to them that what is the graph, what is the line indicating what thing. No, that's not the way. So what we supposed to do? We supposed to define in a graph itself by using the concept of legends. So again, we will be having something called as legend. So what I can do here is I'll call the function. Always remember, this is very beautiful function. Whenever you are trying to plot more than one inferences in a single graph, you have to use something called as legend function. Now, what you will do here, you will define in the form of a list that the first plot that you have plotted is of x and y. So you can say the first plot is plot between x and y. The second legend that you will say is that it is having a plot between x and z. The first line indicates x and y, second line indicates x and z. Now, if I just run this again, can you see? Can you see that everything is now written on my graph itself? There is no need to specifically saying to you or to anyone who is not maybe having an intellectual idea very much about the graphs. He or she will also able to understand that what this orange line is indicating and what this, I would say, blue line is indicating, with the help of a very beautiful function called as legend. And that is the function that you always have to use whenever you are trying to indicate, or whenever you're trying to dealing with more than one representation in a single graph. In a single graph. Is it clear to everyone? Now, if you remember the very first output and now the output that we are looking into makes a lot of difference in terms of having the proper labeling, in terms of having a proper title of that, what it is indicating, having a terms of having a proper legend with respect to what line is indicating what particular thing. Is it making sense to everyone what I'm saying here? Any doubt anyone is having? Now, the next important thing, if there is no doubt, is that usually what I have been found out that whenever people are working with this packages, they usually try to use snipping tool and usually try to take a snapshot of this graph, and then they usually plot in the PPT or wherever they want to save. Very, very bad habit. Why? Because whenever you are taking a snapshot of this graph, the image quality automatically drops down. Image quality automatically drops down. Now, what you have to do, if that is something, suppose you are writing some research paper. So these small things, or you are giving a presentation to a big clients, these small things plays a very important role, because when you will open your PPT in the projector, or whenever when you open your research paper in your PDF, the quality of an image matters the most. You can't take this snipping tool snapshots and then attach that. That's a very, very vague way, I would say. So what we have to do in that scenario, after coming out with the proper result, you have to save that figure by using a function called as plt.savefig. So how we just need to save the visualizations. How we can save that? By using a function called as plt.savefig. And here you can mention that this particular visualization of x, y, and z data. It's a very big name. Let's take it as of now, visualization 1.png or jpg, anything format you want to save, you can save. And if I'll just again run this, what will happen is, can you see that on my left hand side, the image by the name of visualization 1.png will come. Now what you can do is, you can download this image and you can clearly able to save that, and you can use wherever you want to use. Can you see how in very good quality the image is coming up, where I will be having everything. I will be having everything, starting from whatever things I really want. I will be having the value of x. Okay, I don't know what's the issue. Let's close this. So we will be having the value of x, which is the x label. We will be having the y and z, which is the y side. We will be having the title. We will be having the legend, and a proper lining is there. Even you can check from the internet. I just forget the which particular extension is giving a very high quality image, and that particular extension, it's not jpg, it's not png, it's something else which I have used in my research paper publications, but I forgot the name of that extension. You can explore and search for that, but anyhow I have shown you that the format will remain same. You just need to change the extension name and you will be able to save that image. I hope it's clear to everyone. Now, in future, no one will use that snipping tool to snapshot the image and then use it for the references. Clear? I hope it's easy until so far. Shall we move ahead now? Shall we move ahead now with respect to the next important part? Okay, perfect. Now, what I will do is here we have dealt with some random data, right? I have written down some numbers and we have seen that how we can do the plotting of that. Now, what I am doing is I'll take one data set, and I'm taking a data set of diabetes. It's not I'm taking randomly because it is available in my download, so I just uploaded that only. But you can take any data, right? And I'm reading the data point. So this is the path of my data set, diabetes.csv. Again, this data set you will be easily able to find out in Kaggle itself. And now, if I just try to show you the top 5 records, we can clearly able to see that, right? So here we will be having few features, and with respect to every feature, we will be having the outcome. Outcome is a classification kind of a problem where the value is either 0 or 1. 0 indicates that the person is not diabetic. 1 indicates that the person is diabetic, right? I hope this is a data set which everyone must have used, and even I also have used quite a lot of time in the YouTube videos preparation as well, right? Now let's move ahead. What I really want to do with this data. First thing, suppose I want to see the relationship between two independent features that I have. Maybe I want to see the relationship between glucose and BP. So there is something called as scatter plot. So with respect to two independent features that you can use, so in order to create any of the plot, like can you see the function names? Scatter plot, bar plot, box plot. We will talk about every plot. You can use the direct functions here, scatter plot, that is the function that we have. And you can type on x-axis, what is the value you want to take? Suppose I want to take the glucose here. So I'm just copying it, glucose. On y-axis, in your graph, which particular feature you want to take? Suppose I want to take BP, and I want to see that what is the relationship between these two values that we have, right? Now, from which particular data I am taking this data set? My name of the data frame is also data, so I'm just writing it that. Now, if I'll just run this, what I will be able to get is a plot, which is a plot between the glucose and the BP. This is called as scatter plot, where there is a scattering of data points which is there with respect to a glucose and BP. So if you can see on the x-axis, I will be having a glucose, and on the y-axis, I will be having something called as BP. Now, again, if I'll ask you that what is the relationship between the glucose and the BP, can you answer to me? So you have just talked about the intuition behind the above graph, the inference behind the above graph, and what inferences we have made in this graph. We have made the inferences like inference 1, that there is a positive relationship between between x and y in the above graph, and we have made inference number 2 as that there is a negative relationship between between x and z. X and z. Okay, now let's talk about the next important part of a graph, which is a scatter plot. What is the inference of this? And can you see something which is very vague here in this graph? Just observe this graph a little bit more. Can you see that there is something bit vague here in this graph, which doesn't make sense at all? Which numbers, maybe you can see that which doesn't make sense at all? Anything? Just think, see it very carefully, and answer. What is the inference you will be able to get with respect to this particular graph? Anyone? Anything which you can talk about here? Anyone? No relationship. So Anirudra is saying that there is no relationship. Okay. Uh, VSR is saying that regression line can make inference easy. Okay. Okay. The very first thing, can you see this 0, 0, 0 indication? What is this? It is saying that with respect to this glucose, value is 0 and the BP value is something. So, can you tell me that any living being, anyone, even here you can see that BP value is 0 with respect to these data points. We will be having a BP value as 0. Now, this particular thing and this particular thing, is it making sense to you? Is it making sense to you? Any human being, is having a BP value as 0, but still he is living. Forget about whether he is diabetic or not. That's some other scenario factor which we will take care of. But any person, I'm asking one simple question. I know we all are not doctors here, but at least this much thing we can understand, that if the value is 0, it is not making a sense. It means this dataset contains a lot of 0 values in the dataset for every particular feature, which is not making a sense. And we need to do the data imputation with respect to those zeros. So first inference which I will be able to get from this graph is that, that zeros in the glucose and BP doesn't make sense in the data set. So we need to do the data imputation, means we need to replace those 0 values with some data point. It can be mean, it can be median, it can be mode, depending upon what kind of distribution of your data you have. I'll talk about that as well. Or maybe you will apply some algorithm which will predict that what should be the value we can have with respect to 0 value. So we need to do the data imputation for all the zeros available in every particular feature. Is this inference is correct? And is this inference is pretty much clear to everyone, what I have mentioned here? Is it making sense to you guys as well? That these zeros, whether it's in the below point or whether it's horizontal or it's vertical, doesn't make sense here in the scatter plot. Is it correct what I'm saying here? What do you think? Now, the second most important inference that we are making here is that the maximum data points are lying in this specific range. In this specific range. Will you agree with me? What is that range? Means the person, the normal person, is having a range of glucose while using the scatter plot from 75 to 175, and the BP range is from maybe 60 to at max 100 with respect to the data set which is given to us. So, can I say? Because maximum data points, if you will see, a cluster kind of thing is happening on that portion which I underlined here. Yes or no? So, second inference which we have made, that according to our given data set, if we will be having how much data points are there, that we can check. If I'll just apply data dot shape, I will be able to get the number of rows and the number of columns. So out of this 768 number of rows that I have, the maximum data points belongs to a region of interest, where the glucose values lie from 75 to maybe 175 range, and the BP value lies from maybe 45 to 60 to 100 range. Right? Is it clear? Okay. Let's move ahead. Perfect. Let's move ahead. Let's move ahead to the next important thing. Here, if you will observe, I got a relationship between two data points. But I really want a function which will be able to give me the relationship between all the features that I have in one go. So there exists one function called as pair plot. So what I can do is, now I will try to show you the next important plot. So which is called as SNS dot pair plot. And inside that, I'll just pass my data. Again, if I just run this, now you will be able to get, for all the two independent features that we have, what is the relationship. And this scatter plot kind of a thing only you will be able to see there. Right? So here, let it come. Meanwhile, if you have any doubts, anything to discuss, you can ask from me. So here you can see, right? If I'll just make it, okay, let me do one thing. It will not be beneficial for me if I'll do like this, I believe. So I will save this image and then maybe zoom this image. Okay. So what I can do is I'll save this image first of all, and then I'll try to talk about this image. So I'll say plot img, which is equals to this. And after that, what I can do is I can say plot img dot, I want to save this figure, which is a figure of pair plot dot png. Done. Now what will happen is we will be able to get an image of that. Similarly, you can do above as well. When we are plotting a scatter plot, in every image, you can just store it somewhere and then you can save that. Okay. So within few minutes, you will observe that your image will be coming on the left hand side on the screen. In industry, whether we use matplotlib or whether we will use Power BI, I am confused. See, whenever you are going for a data analyst position, then preferably you should have a good knowledge of the tools like Power BI and Tableau. But as far as my experience says with respect to data scientist positions, no one will ask you the knowledge of these tools. If you have, it's good to have. The usual path is that people usually try and go for data analyst position, and then step by step they go for the data scientist position. Automatically they will be having that knowledge. But you will not get expected as a data scientist to have the knowledge of these tools. So at that point of time, everyone expects still to have knowledge of matplotlib and seaborn. And that's where everyone as a data scientist is using these packages only in order to get the analysis of their data. I hope it answers your question, Abhishek. So it depends on which particular domain you want to apply, and accordingly you can prepare yourself. Although by saying that, if you are a data scientist and if you have knowledge of these tools, that's good to have skill set of that. But expectation is not that much high. So if I just download this particular thing as a pair plot, now you will observe that when I am opening this, this is a kind of a plot which I will be able to get. Now, if you will be able to see the x-axis point, you will be having all the features that we have, like pregnancies, glucose, BP, skin thickness, insulin, BMI, diabetes pedigree function, age, and outcome. And on the y-axis, you will be having outcome, age, and everything. Now, initially in the collab file, I have plotted just for the two independent features that I have. But if I really want to see the kind of a distribution that I have in case of all the independent features, then I definitely go for something called as pair plot. I hope it is clear to everyone. Again, a very useful, very important uh, function that we have in the Seaborn library in order to get an insight with respect to the each and every independent feature that we have. Right? Is it clear, everyone? Okay. So now at your home, I will share this collab file to everyone. Just check that via this pair plot, with respect to every independent features, what are the inferences? What are the inferences you are getting? Okay, I'm not going into that much depth with respect to talking about each and every plot, because we will be having multiple plots here. But at your home you have the time, right? And then do let me know in the comment section that what inferences you have made. I will look into all the comments that you are marking it up, and whichever is having a correct comment, I'll also respond to that particular comment, that this is something which is very much apt out of all the available comments that we have, so that it will be beneficial for everyone whosoever is looking for the kind of an answer. Is it clear? Is it clear? Shall we move ahead? Okay. The next important question, if you remember, I have talked about that zeros are available and we have to do the data imputation. And in order to do the data imputation, we need to see the distribution of every feature that we have. So next part is that how we can take the distribution of the features that we have. What are the different kind of distributions that we have, by the way? Who will tell me? What are the different kind of distributions that we have? Is DSA will help me in building logic? Any suggestions from where I can learn DSA in Python? So I have created a specific playlist for DSA in Python, and you are asking from me only that any suggestions for DSA in Python. Just go and check it out, that playlist. It's a very matured playlist, and you will be able to get almost every topic. And even I will mature morely towards that particular playlist itself. Right? So if you can see on my screen, we will be having DSA using Python. You can check it out, this playlist, and you will be able to get the implementations in Python only with respect to this particular playlist that we have, right? Okay, again, going back to the question, how many different kinds of distributions you know? I think we have majorly two kinds of distributions. One is symmetric and one is non-symmetric. Non-symmetric distribution. Now, suppose I will be having a symmetric distribution of any graph. Then, at that point of time, which particular parameter is best to impute with? Mean, median, or mode? What will be your answer? Now, those who already have watched my stats playlist, they will be easily able to answer this question. If I'm having a non-symmetric distribution, again my question will remain same. Which particular parameter should I use for the imputation and why? What will be your answer? So, if I will be having a symmetric distribution, it means that we are having a kind of a normal distribution, and there it means that we will not having many outliers in that particular feature. So, at that point of time, you can do the imputation with the mean. But when I'm saying non-symmetric, it means either your graph is left skewed distribution or right skewed distribution. At that point of time, it indicates that you will be having a lot of outliers in your data. It means that at that point of time, you have to do the replacement with the median value because median is more robust to outliers. So next question for you all for today's session is why median is more robust to outliers. I have already given these kind of answers in the stats playlist, but let's see who will be able to give me the correct answer in the comment section of this video. So let's try to now understand that how we can plot a distribution. So again, we will be having direct function called as dist plot. It's very easy to remember as well. Dist plot, distribution plot. And what I really want to plot, maybe I really want to plot the column name as insulin. Can you see the graph of insulin? Now, will you call this distribution as a symmetric distribution or it is a non-symmetric distribution? And if it is a non-symmetric distribution, is it left skewed or is it right skewed? What will be your answer? So that's where, visualizations plays a very important role. Now, I hope you will be able to get a point that, why we are doing the visualizations. If we can't do the visualizations, how will you able to get to know that how basically the imputation will be done? Or how will you able to get to know that in which particular column or the feature that you have, which is having a majority of the outliers? Coming to the outliers, I'll talk about one more plot with respect to the outliers point that which will be able to give me a clear-cut idea that which particular feature is having more outliers. So if you will observe here, it's a kind of a skewed distribution that we have. So in a way, what inference we have made here is that we will be having a skewed or in a way non-symmetric distribution. And that's why if you are doing imputation with respect to mean or median, you will prefer median here. Which indicates, yeah, and this is something that we have is right skew. That's true. Because right side skewness is there. So non-symmetric distribution, specifically if you really want to talk about, it's a right skewed kind of a distribution that we have. Now, as we can see, it's a right skewed and it might be the case that it contains a lot of outliers. That's why this kind of distribution is having. How will I able to detect exactly the outliers range? That how many of the features have the outliers? And that's where, again, the concept of box plot came into picture. Again, a very good visualization to just check that which particular feature is having a maximum outliers. So there is a plot called as box plot, which is really important to understand. And again, the complete inference of box plot, if I'll just go back to my videos channel, here if you will observe in the playlist, if I'll go for stats for data science, you can see that I have talked in very much depth with respect to the box plot. that how we will be able to detect the outliers with its implementation. And here I talked about, first of all, the intuition behind box plot, that how basically, so in box plot we will be having five important key terms which we use to calculate. What is the value of q1, q2, q3, lower whisker, upper whisker. How we can do the calculation of that, I have explained here, but I'll not explain it again. But I'll explain to you that how we can do the visualization here. Okay, because today's session is focused more on the visualization part. So let's focus on that part. So what you can do here is, we will be having a figure, we will be having a axis. What you can do is plt dot subplots. Now the subplots will try to plot in a single plot the every column box plot. Now I will write the figure size. Suppose I will say the figure size is something which is equals to, I'm taking a bigger version so that it will be clearly visible to everyone. Right? Now I will say SNS dot box plot. And inside that, I can mention data is equals to data and the value AX. And if you want, you can also save this particular image as well. Save fig by the name of maybe boxplot.png. Let's try to run this. I hope no error will be there. Let's see. Yeah, it is fine. Can you see? So let me just try to download the image. Now here, try to understand this image. Can you see? If I will ask you, now just by looking into this image, if I will ask from you that which particular, value or the feature is having a maximum outliers, just by looking into this visualization itself, can you draw the insights and give me the answer? Can you make an inference that which particular feature is having a maximum outliers by just looking into this graph? Any answers anyone is able to give to me? Insulin, right? As Lakshman said, these values, just let me draw it. These values, which you can see here, these are outliers. This is called as upper whisker. This is called as lower whisker. Now, any value lies above upper whisker and below lower whisker, all these dot points are the outliers, which are really dangerous for my data. And before going to data modeling part, I will make sure that I will be able to treat these outliers. So that's where, again, if you will observe, visualization plays a very important role, because without visualizing these things, how will you able to get an insight very fastly that which particular feature is having a maximum outliers? So what is the inference here? Inference is that we have observed that insulin feature is having the maximum outliers in the given data set. Right? Okay. The last important point, and then I'll wrap up the session because it's already 1 hour. Although there are so many other functions that we have for visualization, maybe remaining, I'll again conduct one more session as a part 2 with respect to this data visualization part. And we will try to talk about more functions there. But this is the last one, which I really want to talk about in today's session before wrapping up, is the correlation coefficient. That how the two features are correlated. Now, if two features are highly correlated, what is the meaning of that? The simple meaning in a layman term is that those two features are trying to give us similar information to the model. So what we usually do is, by looking into that visualization, if suppose a feature is having a higher correlation coefficient, maybe more than 0.8 or zero 0.9 or 0.85, we will try to remove the feature. We will try to remove one of the feature. So how basically we will be able to get that, Correlation coefficient, let's try to understand that aspect as well. So there's a function called as data.core, which is responsible to give me the correlation coefficient values. And it lies from -1 to +1. +1 indicates that my features are highly correlated. -1 indicates that my features are highly negatively correlated. What is the meaning of positive correlation? The same thing, positive relationship we have talked about, right? When one value is increasing, another one is also increasing. What is the meaning of negative correlation? One value is increasing, other one is decreasing. So what you can use? You can use this function to create a heat map. So what you can do here is, again, you can try to change the figure size first of all, plt.figure. And here you can define the fig size as, maybe 15 followed by 15. And after that, what you can do is you can try to create SNS dot heat map, and inside that you can pass your function by the name of data dot core. Now I want the values inside the correlation coefficient also. That's where you have to make the parameter annote as true, which will be able to write the values inside that particular heat map that we have. And then again, you can say plt dot show. Even if you want, you can save the figure as well by saying plt dot save fig. And inside that, you can say correlation coefficient heat map dot png. If I'll just run this, you will be able to get for every particular two features, what you are getting is you are getting a value. Now I can't see as of now that there is any value which is having a very high correlation coefficient, so that there is no need to do any removal part. So it's a kind of a feature selection technique. Whenever we will be having two features which are highly correlated, we will remove any one of them. That's why this is also called as feature selection technique. So with the help of this correlation coefficient, what is the inference we can make is we can select the important, or I can say the crucial features in our data set, which is responsible to make correct predictions of the trained model. This is the kind of an inference that you can make. So, what you have observed in the complete session from the past 1 hour I'm speaking, what you have observed? You have observed that with respect to every visualization, there is a sense, there is a meaning, there is an intuition, and we just need to observe that which plot is indicating what kind of intuition. If we are not sure about that, and in order to get that intuition, you should know the stats behind that. That's why I always say that stats plays a very important role whenever you are learning data science. Why is that so? Because if you are not good with the stats portion, you will not able to, even though you will be able to create the visualizations part, which is very easy nowadays. We just need to, it's a one line of a code. We just need to extract the functions itself. But you just need to understand that these things what they are intuitively saying, and that is something which you will be able to get via the stats concepts. And that's why I usually say that stats is one of the most important subject which everyone should know. I am not saying that you should know the higher level stats things, but at least the uh, easy to intermediate level of stats is something which is required to have a very fundamental knowledge, and then only you will be able to understand these visualizations as well. And those who are already have an idea of stats things, they will also they must enjoy the session as well. But those who are not having an idea what is correlation coefficient, what is I would say distribution plots, what is symmetric, what is non-symmetric, what is normal distribution, they must have faced trouble in understanding the today's session, right? So with this, let's end today's session. If you have any sort of doubt, I am here just for 1 or 2 minutes. After that, we can wrap up the today's session. I hope that you find the today's session insightful. Whatever questions I have asked in between the session, please try to take your time and try to just do answer me in the comment section. Also, please try to share this kind of videos to everyone on the LinkedIn as well, because the more you will share with the community this kind of a knowledge, It will be really helpful for your network as well, and even people will also able to get to know that, okay, because many people as of now, what I can see, still don't know, right? The things are there, and I can't reach to everyone. Maybe you will be having some different network, you can tag me so that I will also get to know that, okay, you are someone who is a subscriber of mine and you used to follow my content. So this is how maybe we will be able to reach to a wider audience as well. So um, any doubts in the today's session, anyone? I hope you find today's session insightful, right? Yes or no? uh, yes, Lakshman, that's what we have done. We have used the heat map only to check the correlation. um, any idea about how to start pricing analyst as a fresher? So what is the problem statement here? Can you talk a little bit about that, and what kind of data set that you have which you want to analyze? Can you talk about that? um, when mean, median, and mode are used, why any other method, and why when any other method are used? Please, Salil Banerjee, watch this video. Impact on outliers, mean versus median, and measure of central tendency. Okay, I'm not sharing my screen. Just give me a moment. I'll just let you know from where you will get the concept here, because maybe if I'll talk about little bit also, you will not able to get a proper idea. So just watch this video inside my playlist. Measures of central tendency, mean or median or mode, and impact on outliers. You will be able to get your answer in the whatever question you have asked. Right? Okay. It's helpful. Thank you so much. And let's wrap up the today's session now with this particular note. And I will see you all very soon in the upcoming live. Bye bye. Happy learning to all, and good night.